Marcus Warren is my go-to when it comes to wealth management and tax planning. They do it both at Warren Wealth Management and Tax Planning. Marcus, welcome back to the show. Happy Thurby to you.
Yeah, same to you. Thank you.
All right, we're going to talk a little bit about retirement. And I was thinking about this, and you and I briefly discussed this, but, you know, it is a little bit overwhelming because when you're talking about retirement, you're talking about 20 to 30 years. Hopefully you get 30 to 40, but you're talking about a long period of time to kind of map out your financial strategy. Talk about how overwhelming that can be.
Yeah, that can cause a lot of anxiety for a lot of retirees when you think, hey, I've had a working career of 30 plus years and I actually could be in retirement for just the same amount of time. And when you think about it, about 62% of American households, they are at risk of not being able to maintain that retirement lifestyle. And you know, that's because there's a number of different factors and things that can happen in retirement. Number one, you know, you can have a stock market dip. Two, death of a spouse, or there can be some sort of unexpected health event that causes that strife a little bit. And so what has to happen is you have to make sure you have a plan. You got to make sure you have a system, because retirement is all about income. Income that's going to last as long as you do, and then income that's going to keep up with inflation or the rising cost of goods and services.
So let's go to that. Thank you for the segue there. So where does income typically come from during retirement? What are the sources? 401ks?
Yeah, so there used to be three sources of income in retirement. The first were pensions, right? And back in the 70s, about 80% of corporations and companies had pensions.
God bless you if you have one of those, right?
Now today it's about 15%. And that really happened with the passing of the Revenue Act of 1978. And what that basically did, that introduced a provision of the tax code called the 401k. And the corporations found that as an opportunity to shift the risk from them onto the employees. I call it the great risk shift, where corporations, which used to have to fund your pension while you were working, and then they had to pay it out once you retired, now they were able to push that off on the employees with these 401k plans, and now the employees are now responsible for funding their retirement while they're working, and then finding a way to create income in retirement. So number one was pensions, and if you have one, God bless you. The second source of income is just Social Security, right? You can take it as early as 62, as late as 70, but that basically provides a guaranteed income stream. And then last is what you've saved in your company retirement plans, your investment, your personal savings. And so when you're building an income plan, you generally look at your guaranteed income sources, and then you look at the retirement lifestyle and your expenses, and then there's generally a gap, and you fill that gap with what you've saved for retirement. And what we're finding out, unfortunately, is a lot of people haven't saved enough for retirement, and that's why you hear some of the pundits and quote-unquote experts saying that we have this retirement crisis that's looming.
So you said it right there. We haven't saved enough for retirement. We're finding this to be true. From what I understand, Marcus, baby boomers are a little bit behind. Why would that be?
Well, you know, there's been a couple of market corrections and market downturns. The most recent being the pandemic downturn in March, you know, when the stock market dropped 30%. But if you go back to 2008, during the Great Recession, it scared a lot of retirees from the market. Just think about this. So if you had plans to retire in 2008, so in mid-2007, you know, you're sitting in your cubicle and you have that big wall calendar, and you're just Xing those days off as it gets closer and closer.
Have you been in my cubicle?
Yeah, right. Okay. and well, when you get to the end of 2008, all of a sudden, bam, the market dropped 50%. And so as someone who wanted to retire in 2008, you had a decision to make. Do you retire with less, or do you have to continue to work? And so that scared a lot of people off away from the market. And so a lot of people jumped out of the market in 2008. And although we've seen a recovery, people didn't really get in and participate until they got more comfortable with it. And so they left a lot of investment earnings on the table.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, so if you would, step by step here, I know you have some graphics here to show us. Set us up for a secure retirement. That's what we all want, secure.
All right, so there are a few things, and I think we outlined 5 things that you can do for a successful retirement. And the first is it can pay off debt, right? A lot of retirees, more and more, are going into retirement with too much debt. And so if you can pay down some of that debt before retirement, that's just going to free up extra cash that you're going to be able to spend in retirement. Another way that you can create more retirement income is, or create ways to get out of debt, is come up with some sort of, what do they call it now, a side hustle?
Yep.
Or, you know, we're in this gig economy. I don't know what the kids kids, talk about these days.
I'm always open for a gig. I got you. Yeah.
So, there's things, there's Uber, there's other part-time jobs, you rent out a room for Airbnb, whatever you can do to create extra income in retirement to pay off debt or extra income through retirement is going to help. The next thing is basically Social Security, right? You have to figure out ways to maximize Social Security. And so you can take it as early as 62, you can take it for retirement age, and you can take it as late as 70. And a lot of people think, well, if I just wait till 70, I'll get more bang for my buck. And that might not always be the best thing, because there are ways that you can take it earlier and still maximize it for your benefit. Another way is annuities, right? And annuity sometimes can be a polarizing word, and I'm not talking about variable annuities because I think those are horrible. But if you look at fixed annuities.
How do you really feel about variables?
Right. Fixed annuities, fixed indexed annuities can work out. They can be what I call bond replacements for a lot of retirees. Also, annuities can create lifetime income or your own personal pension. So if you don't have a corporate or a company pension, you can create your own personal pension with annuities. And then, of course, the last thing that I talk about, and I talk about time and time again, are taxes. You don't have a full retirement plan if you don't plan for taxes. One of the biggest chunks of your money is going to go to the government in retirement, right? You have these IRAs, these 401ks, company retirement plans.
You start pulling that money, it's going to get taxed.
Pull money out, you're going to get that knock on the door, you're going to open it up, and it's going to be Uncle Sam, right? And he's going to have his hand out because he's a partner in that tax-deferred account. So you're going to have to pay him. You got to figure out ways to have a tax plan that puts more money in your pocket and less in Uncle Sam's.
Wow. All right. And I know for those who'd like more details on this, you have a workshop that's coming up, and a lot of it will be tax planning, and that is critical. I think a lot of times you hear wealth management, and they don't pay attention to the taxes. Luckily, at Warren Wealth Management, you're also about tax planning.
Yeah, because a lot of brokers and advisors, they don't talk about taxes because they can't talk about taxes. And most financial institutions, they work in their own silos. The tax person doesn't talk to the investment person, so forth or so on. And so with our operation, we are tax experts, we're retirement experts, and so the left hand knows what the right hand's doing because it's so important for a successful retirement.
Okay, let's talk about the workshop. And then for those who are there and they say, look, I don't work well in a group environment, I want a little one-on-one time with Marcus, because I found a lot of my viewers here, they love your style. So talk about your first of all, your workshop, and then if folks would like to set something up with you one-on-one.
Yeah, so we are having a workshop, a group workshop at U of L Shelby campus on Tuesday, May 11th, 6 p.m. I would call or go online to warrenwealth.net as soon as you can to get your reservation, because it's just in a couple of weeks and seats are filling up fast. But we talk about all things tax planning, all things retirement planning, and if you're close or in retirement, it's so beneficial. You get a lot of good information. And during those workshops, I talk in general terms, and so everyone has their own individual situation or unique situation. If you want to schedule time to sit down with me, there is an opportunity for a one-on-one session where we can sit down face-to-face. I can find out what's going on with you, where you are, where you want to be, and develop a plan to get you there.
Man, I appreciate you. You're always a great resource. We always have a new topic every week, so I appreciate you once again. Marcus Warren of Warren Wealth Management and Tax Planning. Okay, we're going to take a little bit of a break here, and then coming up, how would you like to look younger, feel younger, in a company that's been around almost 40 years, the Ageless Center. Julie Young is coming on next. Stay tuned to Wave 3 Listens Live.